Hello, family and friends. Welcome back to another episode of The Other Side with me, Todd Jones. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about education. And when we talk about education, we talk about problems that we experience with education in our community and when it comes to our kids and even us as adults. When it comes to education. All right, so I'll get started. Some of the issues that we have with education is the way that we are educated, miseducation, and no financial literacy when it comes to being educated. And that's just three, just to name a few. It's a lot more when it comes to education, but for the sake of time, we're just talking about the three. All right. So with the way that we are educated, it's it's obsolete, first of all, with our education system, the way that it's set up, especially here in America. When the school system was first established, everything is put in order. We are expected to be worker drones. That's the way that we were being raised. So we were being raised when America was predominantly, manufacturing. We were coming out of school to be factory workers. That's the reason why you didn't need higher than a high school education, is because you were coming out to be a factory worker. And they expect you to be robots. The way that the school system is set up, you have to be at school at a certain time. You go to class, they tell you when to take a lunch break, when to go to the bathroom, and when to leave work. You got to punch in, punch out. Everything is scheduled. Same thing when you go to your 9 to 5 in these factory jobs. You got to show up, you got to schedule lunch break. They tell you when to go to the washroom and when to go home. So it's just the same setup. It's all systematic so that you obey orders, and you're doing this. The only difference is when you were in school, that was free programming, and then when you get to work, you get paid for how well you follow those rules and instructions. All right. So, but that's obsolete because, first of all, factory jobs, they've been outsourced now. So most of them, at least. So now, what are we going to school and training for? After we graduate school, then we no longer have a purpose if we're not getting factory jobs or whatever the case is. You get those dead-end minimum wage jobs that, fast food and stuff like that is pretty much the same premise. But the way that we learn is obsolete. Like I said, those jobs are outsourced. They expect us to be robots. And not everybody learns the same. Not everybody learns the same in the school system. Comparing everybody on the same testing scale isn't fair for somebody that's maybe they're a visual learner, or maybe somebody is a hands-on learner, or those instances. But everyone doesn't learn the same. The remedy that I'm suggesting for this is it all starts at home. So at home, when you're raising your kids, you find out, it's up to you to figure out how they learn, because you are their first teacher. So it's up to you to figure out the way that your child learns, so that when you sit down with these teachers, you can tell the teacher what works best for your child, so that they can get the most out of the education. Because public schools don't necessarily focus on your child's learning ability or the way that they learn. So it's up to you to figure it out, let the teacher know. That way, if they're having problems with your child grasping whatever it is, they'll be able to put it in a way that's better understandable for them. The other thing is miseducation. And learning the difference between being educated and miseducated is you can know a whole lot of information, but if you're not applying it to your everyday life and it's not something that you have to use, then it's still a miseducation, because now you know a whole lot of useless information. So, and I'll give an example. In school, you learn history, right? And you all know I'm a military guy, and I love the U.S. I love our country, but history is one of the biggest waste of times in school unless you're trying to specialize in a certain area when it comes to it. Now, it is important to know your history, especially yourself, your family history, and the history of the country that you are in. But for our people that are born here, we're citizens already, and I understand the reason why we get the history lesson, the history lesson, and most of it is just propaganda for like turning people into patriots and getting people to join the military and being proud of the country and stuff like that. So I get that, but you don't apply history in your everyday life when you go to work. The other thing is job relevance. We even after high school, when we go to college, when you talk about job relevance, we're going after jobs that they say these are the hot jobs that they need right now. So when I was younger, it was tech jobs, right? And they were saying, all right, computer networking, computer engineering, stuff like that. So all of these jobs, they were broadcasting this to everybody. And so we're all trying to get to school, go to college, and get this computer networking and engineering degree and stuff like that. And then after we graduate, all those jobs are filled. There's oversaturated. Nobody's hiring anymore because there's way too many people in that field. And then they expect you to have experience in that field, but you can't get a job without experience right out of school. So even if they're saying, hey, this is an entry-level position, but they still expect you to have 1 to 2 years experience, that doesn't equate or make sense at all. So that's a miseducation when it comes to fields being saturated and you learning something that's no longer going to be relevant by the time you graduate. And the thing with that is we need to stop putting kids in a box and promote innovation. Something that's real simplistic and innovative was the tissue roll. It holds the tissue, and you just sit the tissue on it and you roll it off of it. Very simplistic, but it was innovative, because think about the person that owns the patent to that, and they've made over billions of dollars on just tissue holders, whether it's the regular roll, the vertical roll, automatic rolls. They hold the patent to it. So the other thing that we struggle with in education is financial literacy. And when it comes to financial literacy, I'm talking about the lack of real world issues, like filing your taxes, like budgeting, right? And don't get me wrong, because I do understand that we learn variables, we learn percentages, we learn graphs and stuff like that, but it's not until you're in college and you're taking like some kind of economics class or something like that that you actually learn what those percentages and variables are meant for, algebra is meant for. Because when they teach you, they don't necessarily say you're going to use this later on. They just teach you and say this is a check in the box for you to learn. But I believe that if they started putting it in real world scenarios and saying, hey, this is your income, Uncle Sam taxes you 10%, what's 10% of this that you're making? And then now people start to understand and realize how taxes work, or how percentages work. And then it's more real world, especially when you talk about royalties for inventions and stuff like that. So the financial literacy when it comes to real world situations is an issue. Same thing with budgeting, graphing, and stuff like that. So even if and once again, I'm just speculating and throwing out ideas. What if the school system gave kids, when they started learning algebra or whatever, budgeting or taxes, they give them money that they have to hold or manage through this term, and if they end up making money, then it's a passing grade, and then if they go bankrupt, then it's a failing grade. That's something to consider when it comes to teaching. But that's just putting things in perspective. And I can go down this rabbit hole all day long, but I'm not going to, especially for the sake of time. But once again, I'm just trying to stimulate, I'm trying to give a different perspective on the flaws in our system and what we encounter as a culture, as a people, as society in general. So once again, education is something that we need to focus on when it comes to our kids. We have to teach them to be innovative, and we have to nourish and stimulate innovation for the future. That's the way that we're going to make it. So thank you all. I know that was a quick rundown. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for listening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends if you thought that it was useful. And if you have any other information or ideas that you want to hear being talked about on the show, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. But thank you all. Love you all. See you next time.